I love you glammies, it's your girl Anusha here and welcome back to my channel. You guys, in honor of the success of my first ever YouTube video, I'm gonna be doing something very different on my channel. But it's kind of like common around other areas of YouTube as well, but still I'm gonna be doing it. And for this you need to be stayed and tuned every single Monday, since I'm gonna be doing it every Monday from now on, and it's called Review Mondays. Now, Review Mondays is a new series where I am going to be reviewing every popular movie or series or drama or any of the stuff that you want to recommend whilst I'm doing my makeup. And I'm going to be telling you a little about the movie, a little bit of a summary, a little bit of trivia, and I'm going to be telling you how I felt about the movie. So buckle up, guys. It's going to be a very wild trip with you all. And things tonight are about to get pretty spooky, so stay tuned. So the movie that I'm going to be reviewing about in particular is a horror Turkish movie that people have been crazing about, and it has probably scared the shiznits out of them, and it is Dabbe the Possession. But first, I'm going to be telling you exactly what Dabbe is and what it exactly has to do with the whole storyline and what exactly has to do with other characters. Because Dabbe is a series of like 6 movies. So these movies are based on true stories, except for the first part because I've watched it and it's no. Starting from the 3rd part till the 6th part, it's scary as hell. I'm telling y'all. Dabbe in particular means that anything is associated with the internet, like black magic and other types of entities that appear in front of you. And these are like demons that appear in front of you by your mirror. And now that can sound scary, but it's exactly by someone who, like, you know, casts a spell. Now the story evolves around this girl named Kubra. Now Kubra is a Turkish girl who was about to get married the next day after the possession was made. So basically somebody possessed her like 21 years ago, because she's 21 right now and she's about to get married. Yeah, a very young age, but still. So somebody possessed her already on the night of her henna ceremony or something like that, and that caused her to become pretty suspicious, because I'm telling you what happened. So when she had to go to the bathroom, she just went there like happily and stuff, but then when she came out, that's when it became really suspicious. So basically when she came out of her bathroom, her pupils were kind of dilated and her hair was kind of like disheveled, which was pretty obvious to the family that she wasn't feeling well or she didn't look well. And this was a pretty dangerous point for Kubra, because as soon as she came out of the bathroom, she just went straight to her soon-to-be husband, and she had a knife already in her hand, and then she like stabbed him 10 to 15 times, or until he was completely dead. She even scratched his face a little bit to make him look pretty deadly and stuff. And that really caused the family to be shook up, especially Kubra's mother and her sister and her aunt. Her aunt, by the way, at that time she was unfazed, and at that time I was like, no, I think she did it. I think she cast a spell on her. She cast a black magic on her. But then I was proven wrong. So basically, Kubra's mother and her sister, they both thought that Kubra had some like mental disease or something like that, which is why they became really, you know, attentive about her daughter, about their younger daughter slash sister becoming sick all of a sudden and like stabbing her only soon-to-be husband at the night of her henna, which is kind of like pretty creepy, by the way. I mean, who would actually stab their husband like 10 to 15 times? But then what happened was that after several nights with Kubra and her sick body, which is what they thought, they got to know that Kubra was becoming more like of a demon, instead of like, you know, a normal sick person or a schizophrenic person or something like that. And they then reached out to someone who could actually help her. And in that moment, they reached out to a Muslim priest and a doctor, a research doctor. So the priest's name exactly was Gurkhan. The doctor's name, on the other hand, was Ebru. Now, Ebru was said to be Kubra's best friend since her childhood, and that's why she kind of like, you know, reached out to help her in some point. So that's why when she got to know that Kubra was possessed, she became scared. Obviously, everybody would be scared at that point because nobody knew what they would do when somebody would be possessed. So they kind of like, you know, reached out. Her sister and her mother reached out to the priest, and he was like, he then performed multiple exorcisms on her to test her vulnerability and stuff. Something strange happened on the first night of the exorcism. The first ever exorcism was that when he had to test the demon and ask his name. So that was pretty strange. The whole experience was strange because what the priest did was that he added a cloth, a black cloth. Be specific about it, that he added a black cloth over Kubra. And because of that, he would actually ask the demon, whatever he was, he just went inside with his hand, and then he started reciting verses from the Quran. In my language, it would be the first kalma, which is the shahadat, and the other verses of the Quran. But then as soon as he started to recite that, and as soon as he like, you know, stuck his hand inside, the demon then pulled his hand, and it kind of like ate his hand or something like that, because when he pulled out, it was like injured with some kind of symbol. So that was, yeah. Later on, they kind of like researched on what might have happened to Kubra. And then they later found out that there was this curse named Dabbe, which is related to the internet and black magic and stuff like that. I already explained it to you guys. So they kind of, you know, discovered that, and they wanted to help Kubra because of it. So they thought of different ways to, you know, free her from the possession of the demon. And then they got this idea where they would ask the demon's name. Eventually, they performed the exorcism in a stable house. That's where the demon actually showed up, and it scared the shiznits out of me because I really thought that the horse was actually possessed. Please don't judge me, but I have a really low scare tolerance. Basically what happened was that in the stable house, Kubra's demon who possessed her, actually, it just came out in front of them, and they just, you know, it just scared the shiznits out of them, and all of a sudden the priest just like, you know, did his best to get the name out of them, and eventually he did. The priest himself, he planned of ways to getting the demon's name. So what he did was that he got a bunch of mirrors, and he surrounded it in a like semicircle so that nobody can actually disturb him. But the plan backfires because, listen to it. So basically what happened was that when he surrounded himself with mirrors, and he had a single candle in the middle of those mirrors, and there was a like pot of sand, like a bunch of sand outside of the semicircle of the mirrors, if you can understand me. And all of a sudden he just like said to Ebru, the doctor, to stay out of my business. He was kind of like rude, but yeah, but he didn't want anybody to like, you know, disturb him from asking the demon's name. So he was like, whatever happens, do not come near me. And do not be scared, do not scream, do not do anything, just stay there, stay wherever you are, okay? Basically, while doing that whole exorcism and stuff, he basically got his plan like backfired. It just started scratching and pulling him from the black cloth, but he then resisted until he could not. because the heat was getting unbearable and he was under that cloak for long. So he had to like get out of there, and then what he saw changed his mind forever. He saw the sand that was outside of the mirror semicircle was spread into a direction, into a sort of symbol and sort of a direction as well to where the demon could possibly be. And that was when Cobra was asleep. So he basically knew that Cobra was awake. So as soon as he heard Cobra's mother screaming that her daughter wasn't there, so he then ran towards the direction where she was screaming, and there Cobra was with a demon who was like, you know, lifting her kind of up, and she was like reciting the whole, you know, thing that the demon was kind of like telling them his name or something like that. And guys, whatever happens, I'm not gonna be like, you know, saying the demon's name because I don't like it, and especially in this alone environment, I don't like saying demonish shit. Then the priest actually, like, you know, starts reciting the verses of the Quran again, and then he starts to compel those demons outside of Kubra's body. Some of them only he was successful in drawing out, while the others were still stuck into Kubra's body. Now, while investigating the house, he saw those, you know, those evil eye symbols or something like that. Don't ever hang them in your house. I'm telling you guys, because those actually, like, you know, compel the demons to your house. You're inviting them basically. So don't you ever hang those evil eye symbols, because they're not for compelling away the evil eye, it's compelling in the evil eye. So just whatever symbol you have, just throw it away, those blue evil eye symbols that you so-called believe in. Anyway, so basically he asked Cobra's mother to remove them, and she reluctantly she removed. He just goes into the workers bathroom or something like that, and what he sees is disgusting as hell. So he sees like different black magic stuff, like you know, pieces of paper where Cobra's face and Cobra's father's face was printed onto those papers. So it was pretty creepy, but yeah. And there were also some other types of voodoo dolls as well that were pretty creepy. And then there were some pieces of hair as well, which concluded that it was Cobra's pieces of hair that compelled the demon to, you know, come inside her house. Then came other black magic symbols that had bloody bull's head and other sorts of evil black magic stuff, like the evil eye as well. It was found there, so it was kind of uncomfortable to say the least. Later on, Cobra gets sleepwalking sessions where she's like, you know, walking towards an empty room, and then she gets those exorcism periods. Like the demon, like, you know, completely compels her and stuff. And Ebru at that time, she was about to give up. She's like, Gurkhan, I cannot do this, because this is something that is psychologically proven, that Kubra is psychologically ill, which obviously Gurkhan did not approve of. He was like, no, I want to prove them that this is wrong, whatever they think is wrong, and I am not going to stop until I prove my point. Now, of course, later on, Gurkhan and Ebru, they both go to a place where they can actually compel the demon out of their souls. So while they were about to go to their journey, they were stopped by Kubra's aunt. Now this is where things get pretty scary, because then Kubra's aunt says that there's this guy who knew Kubra's father as well as Ebru's father. So he casted that spell on Kubra. So you might want to meet him and ask him what happened exactly. So obviously, for Kubra's sake, both went towards that man after asking the directions for that man. So they both like go to a site where they can actually find that man, and they soon do. Now that man is himself distressed by his wife becoming a demon. Now this is pretty scary for some point, but yeah, that's exactly how it happened. So basically, Gurkhan and Ebru, they both like ask him questions about Kubra and how her father was related to the whole exorcism point, and then he got scared. He literally got scared, and he was like, this demon is here after 21 years, after who casted the spell on Kubra and her dad. So then he continues to like show pictures of the demon, and all of a sudden they're both intrigued about what they see, and then then Ebru is completely driven into saving Kubra. What happens is that they both ask him directions towards where they can actually you know, dafna dena the spirit, the demon. So he basically told him that if you you know, dig out the soul where the demon was casted, then that would be pretty easy for you guys. So they both went to the excavation site where they could actually find the demon itself, so that they can finally cast it out of Kubra's body. They go to the excavation site where the man actually directed them. Now this is where things get pretty scary, because while Ebru and Gurkhan, they both were like, you know, setting off to their journey of finding the spirit, they basically did not know that their car was smeared red with actual blood on the whole rear mirror and the side mirrors as well, the side windows as well. So that was pretty scary as well, because they had absolutely no idea. So then Gurkhan goes to, like, you know, different places where he could actually find the spirit's body, and eventually he does, until he discovers something really horrific, and he screams really loud, to which Ebru hears. And then when she goes to save him, she sees vine snakes, literal vine snakes. Now you all know that vine snakes are really creepy, and that they are like very deadly and poisonous. So she like encountered that, but then she heard Gurkhan's voice coming from another direction. So he like directed her towards where he was, so that he could like direct her to what exactly happened at that site. Now, of course, Ebru lost her temper, obviously, because the search was really long, and they were like getting really tired. She was getting really tired, but then she screamed really loud after seeing those red prints. She was like, oh my god, I'm sick and tired of this, and I want this to get over with. And Gurkhan encourages her that they are going to get rid of the spirits, but you have to have a little bit of faith in me. And eventually she does, and then they finally find the site where the body of the spirit was buried. Basically, like, Gurkhan goes to that site, and then he calls out the demon's name, and he asks them to leave Kubra's body. Now that happens, yes, that happens, and he was successful in that, yes. But hear me out. Now, when he comes back home to Kubra's house, and to Kubra's parents, exactly, they both like thank him and stuff. But before that, they did not know that Kubra's aunt was murdered. By who exactly? By the spirit. Until now, we were all convinced that the spirit was killing Kubra's aunt and Kubra's husband all along. But what we do not know is the reality. Gurkhan, he then like thanks Ebru and her dedication towards him, and he then sets off to thank the man who directed him towards the spirit. But then at the way towards that man's place, he stops his car at an abrupt stop as soon as he hears the man's voice through his phone. Obviously, he calls him, and then he tells him a shocking truth. He was like, go save the doctor first. When Gurkhan like hears from that man that you have to save the doctor. At first he was really confused as to why he was saying that, but what he does not know that while he was on the road, Ebru, she went to check on Kubra because she heard weird noises coming from Kubra's room. So when she went inside, now that is where I actually lost my shiznit. Ebru finds Kubra as not Kubra actually, and she was in the face of the demon that the man actually said, and she screamed really loud. But before she can actually leave Kubra's house or room, was basically stopped by Kubra's mother and her sister. Now that was a plot twist that you all did not expect. So anyways, they both stopped Ebru from escaping, and they kind of tied her arms and her legs together so that she wouldn't escape. That was happening. Gurkhan, he actually encounters that man who was actually really bloody. His face was smeared with blood, and he was screaming that, Gurkhan, you were making a big mistake. This was a big mistake for you. And when he asked why, he then said that the mother and the daughter, they were in it all along. They wanted to capture Ebru all along because her father was the one who cursed Kubra and her dad. Now that was a plot twist that y'all did not expect as well. Ha! Obviously, Gurkhan wanted to actually, save Ebru from the evil witch Kubra and her mother and her sister, but they were stopped by the demon forces that supported Kubra's mother and her sister, and who cursed Kubra as well. And they were also stopped by some vine snakes, again creepy AF. And obviously they were kind of like pretty scared that how are they going to save Ebru without getting out of that situation. Obviously at that moment the man was killed by the vine snake, and he had to go out of that direction himself. He started reciting more verses of the Quran, and he just made his way out without any harm. But what they were stopped by was Kubra's mother and her sister, who were already armed with a shovel and a little rope thingy or something like that, and they pushed Gurkhan into an empty well. And she was like, you aren't going to be disrupting my daughter from getting better, and now you are going to die. So with that, she actually threw boulders of stone on him, and he started losing consciousness. But before he lost conscious, he had just one name on his mind: Ebru, because he wanted to save her so badly. But what he did not know was the ugly truth. So obviously after Kubra's mother pushed Ebru into her own grave, Ebru asked her helplessly that, why are you doing this to me? I have done nothing wrong to you. But obviously Kubra's mother, being the sly witch that she is, she just laughed, and she was like, oh darling, you do not know. Your father was the one who cursed my husband and my daughter those 21 years ago. And now my daughter is facing the same wrath that you had to face. So I'm going to be safe with my daughter, but it is going to be you who will die an insufferable death. And with that, she just closed the grave and she just went away. Obviously, Ebru had her camera on for as long as she could have, as long as she was alive. So she recorded her screaming for help and her helpless cries that, please save me, someone help me, someone help me. But there was no one to help her until she found a vine snake coming towards her. She tried shaking, she tried withering herself out of that mess, but in the end she got caught with the vine snake biting her thigh, and her screaming really loud until she fell into her own death. So the epilogue actually told us that Gurkhan was found by some well workers, as he was thrown into the well. So obviously he was found by some well workers, and they took him to the hospital. And as soon as he gained consciousness, he remembered absolutely nothing of what he had done. Nothing about the exorcism, nothing about Kubra, nothing about Ebru, or nothing about himself, which was absolutely really devastating. Because damn you, Kubra, mother and sister, and Kubra, all three of them. And Ebru's body wasn't still found because obviously she dug her own grave and she was thrown into there. So yeah, that was a pretty tragic story. But anyways, that was a whole review of Dabbe, the possession. To be honest, I was scared shitless. I had a very difficulty while I had to sleep. I watched this movie 2 in the morning, and I slept at 4:30. Most people wouldn't actually sleep, but I slept with the wind howling and the wind like banging because of it. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience for me. Overall, I would give this movie a whole 10 on 10. I am telling you guys, this movie lived up to my expectations of being the gory, scary horror movie that I really wanted, with amazing suspense, amazing graphics, amazing everything, VFX, makeup studios, everything. It was absolutely amazing. And this is my makeup look for today as well. This is kind of like, you know, green, and this is like my favorite color because obviously I am a very lucky person whenever I choose green. And yeah, it actually happened to me in school, so I forever chose green as my lucky color. And obviously green is the color of luck, so why not? Anyways, that was all for today's video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and write in the comments down below what do you think I should be posting in my next video. As always, stay tuned for Review Mondays every single Monday, and take care of yourself, make right decisions, and stay safe out there. Love you guys. Mwah.